Okay, so this is the Daf 39 for Shevuot. At the end of 38, it says, before he takes the oath, the judge says to him, be aware, now we're in 39, that the entire world trembled when the Holy One, blessed be he, said at Mount Sinai, you shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold guiltless one who takes his name in vain. Exodus 20, verse 7. And be aware that with regard to all of the other transgressions in the Torah, it is stated, and will, etc., clear the guilty. Exodus 34, verse 7. Whereas here, with regard to taking a false oath, it is stated, quote, will not hold guiltless. And be aware that with regard to all the other transgressions in the Torah, punishment is exacted only from the transgressor, whereas here punishment is exacted from him and from his family, as it is stated, quote, do not allow your mouth to bring your flesh into guilt. Ecclesiastes 5:5. The verse indicates that one who sins with his mouth by taking a false oath causes his flesh to be punished as well, and one's flesh is nothing other than his relative, as it is stated, and that you not hide yourself from your own flesh. Isaiah 58, verse 7. And be aware that with regard to all the other transgressions in the Torah, punishment is exacted only from the transgressor, whereas here, punishment is exacted from him and from the entire world, as it is stated, quote, swearing and lying and murdering and stealing and committing adultery, they break all bounds, etc. Therefore the land mourns and everyone who dwells therein languishes. Hosea 4, verses 2 and 3. The Gemara suggests, and why not say that punishment is not exacted from the entire world unless he commits all the sins mentioned in the verse? The Gemara answers, this should not enter your mind, as it is written, because of swearing the land mourns, Jeremiah 23, verse 10, indicating that taking a false oath is sufficient to cause the land to mourn. And it is similarly written in the verse in Hosea, therefore the land mourns and everyone who dwells therein languishes. Both verses employ a term of mourning. mourning, mourning. So the Baraita continues with the judge's forewarning. And be aware that with regard to all the other transgressions in the Torah, if the transgressor has merit, God suspends his punishment for 2 or 3 generations, and only if his descendants follow in his ways are they punished. Whereas here, punishment is exacted from him immediately, as it is stated, quote, this is the curse that goes forth over the face of the whole land, etc. I cause it to go forth, says the Lord of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief, and into the house of he who swears falsely by my name. And it shall abide in the midst of his house, and shall consume it with its timber and its stones. Zechariah 5, verses 3 and 4. The Baraita analyzes the verse, I cause it to go forth, means immediately, and it shall enter into the house of the thief. This is referring to one who deceives people, that is, one who has no money in the possession of another, one who has no money in the possession of another, but claims money from him and administers an oath to him in court, thereby causing an oath be taken in vain. And, quote, and into the house of he who swears falsely by my name is, as it indicates, in accordance with its straightforward meaning from the end of the verse, quote, and it shall abide in the midst of his house and shall consume it with its timber and its stones. You have therefore learned that a false oath consumes things that even fire and water do not consume, such as stones. The Baraita continues, if the defendant says at this point, I will not take an oath, the court dismisses him immediately and rules him liable to pay. And if he says, I will take an oath, the people standing there say to each other, depart, I pray you, from the tents of these wicked men, and touch nothing of theirs, lest ye be swept away in all their sins. Numbers 16:26. And when the judges administer the oath to him, they say to him, be aware that we administer an oath to you, not according to your understanding of the oath, but according to the objective understanding of the omnipresent, and according to the understanding of the court. That is the judge's intention. This is, as we have found, written with regard to Moses, our teacher, when he administered an oath to the Jewish people in the plains of Moab, so that they would accept the Torah upon themselves. He said to them, know that it is not according to your understanding that I administer an oath to you, but according to the understanding of the omnipresent, and according to my understanding, as it is stated, neither with you only do I make this covenant and this oath, Deuteronomy 29:13, which is homiletically interpreted to mean not only according to your intention. Having quoted a verse, the Baraita tangentially interprets the subsequent verse from the phrase, quote, both with he who stands here with us this day, Deuteronomy 29:14. I have derived only that those who stand at Mount Sinai were included in this covenant. From where do I derive that the subsequent generations and the converts who will convert in the future were also included? The verse states, and also with he who is not here with us this day, Deuteronomy 29:14. And I have derived only that the mitzvot that the Jewish people accepted upon themselves at Mount Sinai were included in the oath. From where is it derived that mitzvot that were to be initiated in the future, for example, the reading of the Megillah, the Scroll of Esther, Purim, were also included? The verse states, quote, the Jews ordained and took upon themselves that they would keep these 2 days, Esther 9:27, which is homiletically interpreted to mean they ordained in the generation of Esther mitzvot that they had already accepted upon themselves by oath in the plains of Moab. The Gemara analyzes the Braita. What is the precise meaning of the statement? An oath imposed by the judges may also be recited in its language. The Gemara answers, it is as we learned in a Mishnah, Sota 32a. These are recited in any language, and it is not required that they be recited in Hebrew. The portion of the warning and the oath administered by the priest to a woman suspected by her husband of having been unfaithful, so the Sota, the declaration of tithes, which occurs after the 3rd and 6th year of the 7th year sabbatical cycle, when one declares that he has given his tithes appropriately, the recitation of Shema and the Amidah prayer and grace after meals, and the oath of testimony, where one takes an oath that he doesn't have any testimony to provide on a given issue, and the oath on a deposit, where one takes an oath that he does not have possession of another's deposit. All these may be recited in any language. So in the Braita also states, as an addendum to this halacha, that an oath imposed by the judges may also be recited in its language, that is, in any language. The master said, Amar Amar, the master said, in the Braita above, that the judges say to him, be aware that the entire world trembled when the Holy One, blessed be He, said, you shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. What is the reason that the entire world trembled? If we say it was because this prohibition was given at Mount Sinai, this is difficult, as when the entire world trembled, the rest of the 10 Commandments were also given at Mount Sinai. This quality is not unique to a specific prohibition. And if it is rather due to the fact that this prohibition is severe, is it more severe than the other prohibitions? But didn't we learn in a Braita, these are minor transgressions, violation of an ordinary positive mitzvah and an ordinary negative mitzvah, except for you shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. And these are major transgressions, those for which one is liable to receive excision from the world to come, karet, or a court-imposed death penalty. And, quote, you shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, is also among them. Evidently, this transgression is no more severe than transgressions that incur karet, or the death penalty. Rather, the reason the world trembled, particularly when this prohibition was given, is as it is taught subsequently in the Braita, and with regard to all the other transgressions in the Torah, it is stated, quote, and will clear the guilty, whereas here it is stated, will not hold guiltless. The Gemara asks, and is it not stated with regard to all of the other transgressions in the Torah that God, quote, will not hold guiltless one who transgresses? But isn't it written, and who will by no means clear the guilty? Exodus 34, verse 7. The Gemara answers that verse is necessary for that which is derived through the homiletical interpretation of Rabbi Elazar, as it is taught in Braita. Rabbi Elazar says, it is not possible to say, and will clear the guilty, about all transgressions, since will not clear the guilty is already stated. And it is not possible to say, will not clear the guilty, since and will clear the guilty is already stated. So, how can these texts be reconciled? The Holy One, blessed be He, clears those guilty who repent and does not clear those who do not repent. Okay, it is stated in the Braita that with regard to all the other transgressions in the Torah, punishment is exacted only from the transgressor, whereas here punishment is exacted from him and from his family. The Gemara asks, and is punishment not exacted from the transgressor's family with regard to all the other transgressions in the Torah? But isn't it written in the Torah with regard to one who worships Moloch, Then I will set my face against that man and against his family, and I will cut him off. Leviticus 20, verse 5. And it is taught in a Baraita. Rabbi Shimon said, if he sinned, how did his family sin? Why are they punished? This serves to tell you that there is no family that has an unauthorized tax collector among them, in which all the family members are not regarded as unauthorized tax collectors. And similarly, there is no family that has a bandit among them, in which all the family members are not regarded as bandits. This is because they cover for him. Evidently, punishment is exacted from the transgressor's family with regard to transgressions other than taking a false oath. The Gemara answers, there, with regard to other transgressions, the transgressor's family is punished with another punishment less severe than the one the transgressor receives. Whereas here, with regard to a false oath, the transgressor's family is punished with his punishment, as it is taught in a Baraita. Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi says, why must the verse state with regard to one who worships Moloch, I will cut him off? Since it is stated earlier in the verse, then I will set my face against that man and against his family. One might have thought that the entire family is liable to be punished with karet. Therefore, the verse states, and I will cut him off, indicating that only he is liable to be punished with karet, whereas his entire family is not liable to be punished with karet. The Baraita teaches, and with regard to all the other transgressions in the Torah, punishment is exacted only from him, whereas here punishment is exacted from him and from the entire world. As it is stated, swearing and lying, and murdering, and stealing, and committing adultery. And it is written, therefore the land mourns. The Gemara suggests, and why not say that punishment is not exacted from the entire world unless he commits all the sins mentioned in the verse? The Gemara answers, this should not enter your mind as it is written, because of swearing the land mourns. Jeremiah 23, verse 10, indicating that a false oath is sufficient to cause the land to mourn. And the Gemara asks, and with regard to all the other transgressions in the Torah, is punishment not exacted from the entire world? But isn't it written, and they shall stumble one upon another? Leviticus 26, 37. This verse is homiletically interpreted to mean that they shall stumble spiritually, one due to the iniquity of another, which teaches that the entire Jewish people are considered granitors for one another. Apparently, any transgression makes the entire world liable to be punished. So the Gemara answers, there in that verse, the reference is to a case where the others had the ability to protest the transgression, and nevertheless they did not protest. By contrast, when one takes a false oath, the entire world is punished, even those who are not able to protest. The Gemara asks, what difference is there between the punishment of the wicked people in a transgressor's family and the punishment of the other wicked people of the world, and between the punishment of the righteous people in his family and the punishment of other righteous people of the world? The Gemara answers, with regard to other transgressions, the transgressor himself is punished with his own punishment. That is, that which is written in the Torah for that transgression. And the wicked people of his family who covered for him are punished with another severe punishment. And the wicked people of the rest of the world who refrain from protesting his action are punished with a light punishment. The righteous people, both here and here, that is, both his family members who did not cover him and others who were not able to protest his action, are exempt from punishment. So with regard to one who takes a false oath, by contrast, he and the wicked people of his family are all punished with his punishment. That is, they receive the same punishment he does. And the wicked people of the rest of the world who refrain from protesting his action are punished with a severe punishment. And the righteous people, both here in his family and here in the rest of the world, are punished with a light punishment, even though they did not behave inappropriately. Accordingly, the consequences of taking a false oath are more severe than those of other transgressions. The Baraita states, if the defendant says, I will not take an oath, the court dismisses him immediately and rules him liable to pay. And if he says, I will take an oath, the people standing there say to each other, depart, I pray you, from the tents of these wicked men. The Gemara asks, granted that one who is taking the oath stands to transgress the prohibition against taking a false oath, but why is the one administering the oath to him, the claimant, considered a wicked man? The Gemara answers, that designation is necessary for that which is taught in a Baraita. Rabbi Shimon ben Tarfon says that the verse, quote, the oath of the Lord shall be between them both, Exodus 22:10, teaches that the punishment for a false oath applies to both the one who took the oath and the one who administered it to him. So the Baraita states, and when the judges administer the oath to him, they say to him, be aware that we administer an oath to you, not according to your understanding, but according to the understanding of the omnipresent and according to the understanding of the court. The Gemara explains, why does the court need to say this to him? It is due to deceptions like that of the reed in Rava's court, where the defendant secretly inserted into a hollow reed the money he owed and gave it to the claimant to hold for him, whereas he took an oath that he had already given him the money. He then took back the reed as the claimant was unaware of its contents. In this way, he was able to state an oath that was technically true, although he was guilty of deception. To prevent this, the court stipulates that the oath must be true according to the court's understanding. The Mishnah teaches that the court administers an oath to one who admits to part of a claim only when the claim is for at least the value of 2 silver ma'ah. Rav and Shmuel disagree with regard to the exact meaning of this statement. Rav says that the denial of the claim must be at least the value of 2 silver ma'ah, and Shmuel says that the claim itself must be at least the value of 2 silver ma'ah. And even if the defendant denied only 1 peruta of the claim, so that's the smallest coin value, or consequently, if he admitted to only 1 peruta of the 2 ma'ah claim, he is liable to take an oath. Rava said the language of the Mishnah is precise in accordance with the opinion of Rav, and the biblical verses are precise in accordance with the opinion of Shmuel. The language of the Mishnah is precise in accordance with the opinion of Rav, as it teaches the claim must be for at least the value of 2 silver ma'ah, and the admission must be at least the value of 1 peruta, whereas it does not teach that the minimum denial of the claim is 1 peruta, indicating that it must be more. And also we learned in the Mishnah, Bava Metzia 55a, that the minimum admission to part of a claim that renders one liable to take an oath is the value of 1 peruta, whereas the Mishnah does not teach that the minimum denial is the value of 1 peruta. So, and the verses are precise in accordance with the opinion of Shmuel, as it is written with regard to the case where an oath is administered due to admission to part of a claim. If a man delivers to his neighbor silver or vessels to safeguard, Exodus 22, verse 6, it is derived from the juxtaposition of silver and vessels, that just as vessels in the plural is referring to at least 2, so to silver, just as silver is an item of substantial value, so to any item of substantial value is included. And the merciful one states in the subsequent verses that an oath is administered in a case where one says, "This is it." Exodus 22, verse 8. That is, where the defendant admits to only part of the claim of silver or vessels and denies the rest of the claim. Evidently, the denial can be for an amount less than 2 silver ma'ah. And Rav would respond that the phrase, "this is it," is necessary to indicate admission to a part of the claim, but it does not indicate the value being denied, which must be at least 2 silver ma'ah. The Gemara asks, and how does Shmuel derive both halachot from the verse, namely that admission to part of a claim is necessary for an oath to be administered, and that the denial can be less than the value of 2 ma'ah? The Gemara answers, it is written, "this is," and it is written, "it." The repetition of these similar terms is homiletically interpreted to indicate that if the defendant denied part of the 2 ma'ah claim, it admitted to the other part, he is liable to take an oath. And Rav would respond that the repetition would be interpreted differently. One of the 2 terms is stated to indicate admission of a part of the claim, and the other one is stated to indicate admission of the same type of item as the claim. And Shmuel would respond, even if you do not accept the derivation from the repetitious words, don't you derive from this halacha by itself that the denial may be less than 2 ma'ah, since the admission reduces the value of the claim? If the claim was for 2 ma'ah, as derived from the verse, and the defendant admitted to a part of the claim, then the value of denial was clearly less than 2 ma'ah. Rather, Rav could have said to you that when the word silver came initially, it came as a source for the value of the denial, not the claim. As if this were not so, if it were meant to refer to the value of the claim, let the merciful one write in the verse, if a man delivers to his neighbor vessels to safeguard without mentioning silver, and I would say that just as vessels are at least 2, so too the claim must be for at least 2 of any item, including coins of silver. So accordingly, why do I need the word silver that the merciful one wrote? Rather, if it is not needed for the matter of the claim, apply it to the matter of the denial, and derive from it that the denial must be at least the value of 2 silver ma'ah. And Shmuel could have said to you that if the merciful one had written the word vessels and had not written the word silver, I would say that just as vessels are at least 2, so too the claim must be for at least 2 of any item. But we do not need it to be an item of substantial value. Therefore, the word silver teaches us that it must be an item of substantial value like silver. The Gemara attempts to prove Rav's opinion from the Mishnah. We learned in the Mishnah that if the claimant said to the defendant, I have 2 silver ma'ah in your possession, and the later responded, you have only 1 copper peruta in my possession, he's exempt from taking an oath. What is the reason? Is it not because the amount of the claim that was denied by the defendant was lacking, that is, was less than the minimum value of 2 ma'ah? And accordingly, this is a conclusive refutation of the opinion of Shemuel. The Gemara answers, Shemuel could have said to you, do you maintain that the claim that is taught is one where the claim was for the value of 2 ma'ah? The claim in the case that is taught was specifically for 2 silver ma'ah. The defendant is exempt because the claim was for silver and he admitted to owing 1 peruta of copper. That which he claimed from him, he did not admit to it at all, and that which he admitted to, he had not claimed from him. So the Gemara asks, if so, say the latter clause. If the claimant said, I have 2 silver ma'ah and 1 peruta in your possession, and the defendant responded, you have only 1 peruta in my possession, he is liable to take an oath. Granted, if you say that the claim was for the value of 2 ma'ah, due to the reason he is liable in this case. Unlike the previous case, here the defendant denied a debt of 2 full ma'ah, but if you say the claim was specifically for 2 silver ma'ah and 1 copper peruta, why is he liable to take an oath? In this case, too, that which he claimed for him, he did not admit to at all, and that which he admitted to, he had not claimed from him. The Gemara answers, isn't this discussion only according to Shemuel? The proof was presented in order to attempt to refute the opinion of Shemuel. And doesn't Rav Nachman say that Shemuel says that if one claimed that another owes him both wheat and barley, and the defendant admitted to owing him one of them, he is liable to take an oath. Here too the claim was for 2 types of items, silver and copper, and the defendant admitted to owing one of the types, 1 peruta of copper. Therefore, according to Shemuel, he is liable to take an oath. This too stands to reason from the fact that the latter clause of the Mishnah teaches that if the claimant said, I have a litra of gold in your possession, and the defendant responded, you have only a litra of silver in my possession, he is exempt. Granted, if you say that the Mishnah is teaching a case where the claim was specifically for gold, it is due to that reason that he is exempt, as the admission was of a different item from the claim. But if you say the claim was for the value of the litra of gold, why is he exempt? A litra is a large amount, and certainly both the claim and the denial are each worth more than 2 ma'ah. Okay, so rather it is clearly a case where the claim was specifically for 2 silver ma'ah, and from the fact that in the latter clause the claim was specifically for gold, it should be derived that also in the former clause the claim was specifically for 2 ma'ah. The Gemara asks, if so, shall we say this is a conclusive refutation of the opinion of Rav? The Gemara answers, no. Rav could have said to you that the entire Mishnah is referring to the entire Mishnah is referring to claims in terms of the value of silver, not actual silver, but the case where the claim was for a litra of gold is different. All the other cases in the Mishnah are referring to a certain monetary value, but this case is referring to actual gold, as a litra is not a coin or a monetary unit, but a measurement of weight. And that is the end of Daf 39.